Everyone, and welcome back to the channel. John Owen talks about sports and movies. Thank you for checking out today's video. I always appreciate the support. Let's get into it. So, me and Libby, who you guys have seen before, and our newest guest, Allie, one of our other roommates, we went and saw Mean Girls, the new movie musical adaptation type beat. And so we loved it. But we're gonna give you guys the whole scoop. But make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe so you never miss out on any of the fun. I'm going to also issue a spoiler. There'll be spoilers for the movie. So if you haven't seen it and you want to come back and watch it, save this video and then watch it later. But without further ado, we're actually going to just hop into it. All right. Libby, you want to go first?
No.
And that's so fair. Allie,
overall review.
Yeah, just like
has the best.
Just like any type of thoughts, inputs.
I think you have the best thoughts, and I'll chime in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Allie. I went and saw this musical on Broadway, Mean Girls on Broadway with Renee Rapp and the rest of the original cast. I loved it then. I still love it now. I'm also a retired theater nerd, so I feel like I have a lot of knowledge whenever it comes to musicals and theater. And Libby said this in the car, but you can definitely tell that this movie was directed by people who are in the theater community, because all of the choreography and the way that they would cut to the songs and in and out of scenes was so good.
The
transitioning was so good. My only really complaint about the movie musical is they had to cut some songs, which that's fair. That's so fair because time constraints.
How long is the musical on Broadway?
I believe that the musical on Broadway is about 2 hours, but you have to account for the fact that there is dialogue in there too.
Yeah.
They try and keep it as close to the movie as they can. My only real complaint with the movie was the lead role of Katie. She wasn't as vocally talented as her other co-stars, and for being the main character and like the main girl in the movie, I think that there should have been a different casting choice.
Yeah.
Being someone that loved the songs from the original musical, they had to change a lot of the songs, and you could tell that there was a lot of auto-tune involved and layering, but only in Katie's songs. Renee Rapp, who plays Regina George, was absolutely phenomenal. Her acting, she was more intimidating to me than Adams.
Yeah.
Like, she really embodied Regina George. I think that Karen, I liked her better in this movie musical than I did in the original movie.
Me too.
I think that the guy that played Aaron was an amazing cast. I think that he is so cutesy.
He is cute.
So pretty.
I'm also so glad that they cut Aaron's songs from the musical because I know that man cannot sing from seeing him in other projects. I want to give a huge shout out to the person who played Janice and Damien, because they carried.
They did.
In the musical they narrate, in the movie they narrate, which I'm really glad that they kept that kind of dynamic. But also they can sing.
They can.
The last note that I have really is that they did an excellent job of adapting Mean Girls to 2024 Times High School. They did a lot of things that are more applicable to us now than it was back in the early 2000s.
Yep.
I agree.
Yep. Yeah, like, the kind of piggyback off that point, like, they did everything with TikTok so well. Because, I've seen some like other movies try to use TikTok, and it just like has not kind of translated that well, but I feel like this movie really nailed it out of the park. What other type of stylistic, like, kind of aesthetic choices like that?
I have something.
Yes, go, Libby.
Because I was just thinking about it. I think that they stayed close enough to the original, but they switched the characters up. Like, I feel like, what's her name?
Karen.
I feel like Karen, played by Amanda Seinfeld, is more of like a passive stupid.
Yeah.
And this girl was like dumb.
Well, you kind of thought that Karen in the original was like faking stupid.
Yeah.
This Karen was dumb.
So it was like those little shifts that really made this film like its own thing. Rather than like them recreating Mean Girls. Like it felt like a separate thing.
Yeah. I also felt like another characterization that they shifted slightly that worked really well was Aaron's. So I don't remember him in the original movie like really being interested in how Katie's different than the plastics. He definitely like storms off and is like, yeah, like I did like you for like I liked you because you were different than them, but
Mhm.
it's deeper and that's more on the note. Like that's more fleshed out in this one. And so I really liked Aaron in this movie. Renee Rapp,
Ugh.
her overall aura as Regina George, it's threatening
Yeah.
It is.
almost. Like I felt like she was gonna attack me.
It's bone
Yeah.
chilling.
Yeah.
Like,
That was another character shift. That I
Yeah.
was like, Regina George by Rachel McAdams, she's kind of just like,
Well, she's fake.
Yeah.
She's like, I love your skirt. That's the ugliest effing skirt
Right?
I've ever seen.
and
But, like,
she was just
Regina
like
just
upfront
says
mean.
it.
Yeah.
She was just mean.
yeah.
Yeah.
She said some stuff, and I was like, oh,
She's a mean girl.
Yeah.
Like,
she is.
like to her
agree.
core. To her core. Like I think even Janice says it in this movie. She was like, at least Regina has the guts to not fake being my friend.
yeah.
And Renee Rapp's Regina George sure as hell did not do that.
Mm-mm.
I think the best scene, the best part of the whole movie
Uh-huh.
was just everything during Halloween.
Halloween.
The Halloween party, just top to bottom. Oh my god, like
The choreography during that Halloween party was so like I can't even imagine seeing that in
Yeah.
real life. Like it was so cool.
yeah,
The choreography on Broadway was obviously, I mean, it's Broadway, so it's fantastic, but they did a great job of translating it. Like even
Into-
in
yeah.
Revenge Party or like Apex Predator, where they're all like acting like
Yeah.
animals.
yeah,
It's fantastic. And
Yeah.
like you couldn't see one person in the ensemble that like wasn't selling it.
No.
Yeah.
Every
Yeah.
single
Like, they
person
were
there
all-
showed up and they were
Mhm.
an animal for that day.
Yeah.
Or
Mhm.
they were just there to be in the back of the Halloween party. And
Yeah.
I mean, the Halloween party all the way around, you get Sexy by Karen,
mhm,
which is not only funny and witty, but is just, it's true. Like, I
Mhm.
mean, that's what girls do now. And then you have Someone Gets Hurt, which is just probably my favorite personal song
Mhm.
Yeah.
throughout the whole movie.
I agree.
I
agree with that.
really enjoyed the like humanizing of Gretchen with her song.
Yeah.
Because
What's
like
Wrong with Me?
yeah, everybody has felt some sort of that way. And then Regina too.
Running on the
of
treadmill.
her being on the treadmill and like trying to put on this face for the world. I feel like they did so much more with the characters than the original Mean Girls
Yeah.
did.
Yeah. Really, my only complaint for the movie is like Katie is just not.
Yeah.
I understand it's really hard to follow up Lindsay Lohan in anything, but like Ali said, like, babe, this is a musical.
Yeah.
You gotta be able to sing on your own.
Whenever they have to shift the songs from the Broadway version for you specifically,
Yeah.
recast.
Like,
Yeah.
and I think like Lindsay Lohan, like in the original movie, like Katie, she owns more of her mean girlness
Mhm.
than this interpretation. And so like the forgiveness, like her like apologizing and owning up to it, like later when she like is trying to apologize to the teacher and like all that doesn't hit as hard because she doesn't dive as much into being a mean girl and
Yeah.
being a plastic. That's really my only complaint with the movie. I feel like this movie is like very different than the original movie, so it stands on its own. It makes some choices that are very different, so they're not just like trying to copy and paste and
Mm-mm.
throw in songs.
And they also made the choices, obviously with Tina Fey being a comical mastermind.
Mhm.
Yeah.
She made some questionable choices in the original Broadway musical, and she cut those. And you have to do that whenever you're putting something out into the world that millions of people are going to see. You have to make sure that it's not going to cause any
Mhm.
backlash. And she
Yeah.
did a great job of doing that.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like how iconic the original Mean Girls was for like the time period, like the early 2000s, like that. If this piece was going to serve as like an iconic version for our generation, then it had to be
Work.
like inclusive and
Mhm.
like she can't say the stuff that was.
And
in
it
the
just goes back to
show.
like bringing Mean Girls into our generation, like
Yeah.
with the TikToks and with like her just dropping the burn book and letting
Mhm.
the internet do the rest.
Yeah.
Or instead of her cutting the holes out on her tank top, it was
Yeah.
the wet look. Like they just did a lot of things that were applicable to our generation.
Yep.
Another thing I really liked that we haven't talked about yet is the different backstory with Janice and Regina.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
That was like, that makes so much more sense than
Yeah, it
just,
does.
I mean,
Just being lesbian.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
in the original movie, especially for our generation now, like if someone was like, Janice is a lesbian, we'd be like, okay.
Okay, and
Yeah.
Like, so their like history of whatever happened between them, it just makes more sense. It has more weight.
Yeah,
to it,
it
I feel
does.
like.
Yep. And I think like them playing up like the fact that like Regina kissed her,
Mhm.
you know, I was like, wow, that's like there's way more in depth. There's way more like the shovel has been dug deeper
yeah.
Mhm.
with that entire story than they did
Yeah.
with, you know, other than the fact that, oh, like I think Janice had a crush on me
Yeah.
and I didn't reciprocate it. And
Yeah.
that's why we hate each other.
Yeah.
No, there's some actual like Regina was bullying her and making fun of her and was going after her in a way that Janice didn't even know. And
Mhm.
that's why Janice hates her so much.
Yeah.
I think that hatred level is so much, it resonates a lot more.
Yeah.
Yep.
I also love that Renee has spoken to that Regina in the Broadway show isn't straight. Like there's
Yeah.
Renee Rapp completely changed.
Regina George.
Yeah, Regina George for like the better. I feel.
Yeah.
I
Like
agree.
it's not
100%.
such like a flat character. Like she has some. Yeah, I don't even know. How
She's
to
very
describe it.
dynamic.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
I
her
agree.
voice. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Like
It's-
anytime she sang, you were like, "That's Renee Rapp."
Yeah.
Like,
It's
Yeah.
jaw dropping.
Yeah.
That the mic is live.
Yeah.
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 Yes.
She was definitely the most vocally talented on the cast.
I would agree.
Yeah,
But that was a
absolutely.
given. I mean, she has her own standalone
Yeah.
music career as
Yeah.
well. So
But I felt like literally everyone that sang that wasn't Katie like crushed it. Like
Yeah.
was
Mhm.
really very musically talented.
dude,
Yeah.
Damien
Damien
Yeah.
is so
He-
good.
Yeah.
killed it.
Yeah.
And he just brought so much humor. Like even in the heavier
Mhm.
moments, like he was so good.
Yep.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Well, you guys have any other final thoughts? I feel like we've covered everything. Anything else before we move on?
I feel like my last note would be everyone in this movie had a very attainable body type,
Yes,
which I
Mhm.
appreciated.
loved.
Yep.
Yes,
Which
I
I
love that too.
appreciated a lot because I mean Lindsay Lohan, love her,
Rachel
but I'm
McAdams.
never gonna look like
Yeah.
either of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is the first movie that I've seen where everyone across the board on the cast, I'm like, you know what?
Yeah.
Like,
And that's
they're beautiful. They're
Mhm.
beautiful people, but
Talented.
like it's also not so far fetched.
Yeah.
and I think that's
It's very
another-
human. It's
Yes,
it's very
very
human.
human, very
Yeah.
raw.
I think that's another translation into it being like our generation's
I would agree.
kind of say on Mean Girls.
Yeah.
Like it was just way more inclusive.
I agree.
I'd agree.
I agree. All right. Overall, serving as an adaptation of the musical, which in itself is an adaptation, Mean Girls 2024 stands out on its own. Revamped with humor and aesthetics for a new generation of audiences, the new film carries the iconic legacy of the franchise forward. The incredible music, choreography, and charm, Mean Girls is a superbly fun time and a worthy successor to the OG movie and musical. We all three gave it a 9 out of 10 across the board, and in this household, we believe in Renee Rapp supremacy.
Yes, I do.
But thank you guys for checking out today's video. I always appreciate the support. Libby and Allie, thank you so much for
Thank
being
you.
on the
Thank
video.
you.
Of course,
Thank you.
this is my favorite game right here. Make sure you guys check out the link content, like, comment, subscribe, and have a great day.